So if you were going to build the perfect go-anywhere adventure boat, where would you even start? I mean, you could start with a blank sheet of paper and the latest theories, or you could start with a lifetime of actual hard-won experience out on the ocean. Okay, let's dive into the Delos Explorer 53, because this isn't just some custom boat. It's basically a floating encyclopedia of lessons learned over thousands of days out on the water. And this number right here, this is what it's all about. 85,000 nautical miles. That is like circling the entire planet more than 3 times. This boat wasn't dreamed up in some office. It was shaped by a decade and a half of riding out storms, anchoring in forgotten coves, and, learning what breaks when you're 1,000 miles from the nearest help. Every single design choice we're about to talk about is a direct solution to a real-world problem. Yeah, and this quote from the builders, Stradbroke Yachts, it just nails it. The whole mission here was to take all that raw, on-the-water experience and translate it into the ultimate cruising machine. A boat built not on compromise, but on proven, reliable systems designed from day one to explore the planet.
So, where do you begin when you're building a boat that has to handle literally anything? Well, you start with the foundation, and the first huge decision was to step away from traditional fiberglass and build a hull that is, for all intents and purposes, basically unbreakable.
See, here's the thing with most production boats. They're surprisingly fragile. If you smack into a submerged shipping container or accidentally run aground somewhere remote, that could be game over. Aluminum just completely changes the game. We're talking 6-millimeter thick plates below the waterline, multiple watertight compartments from collision bulkheads, and a design where the props and rudders are completely shielded. This isn't just a tough boat, it's a boat you can confidently nudge onto a beach in some far-flung corner of the world without even thinking twice. All right, let's move from the foundation to the boat's heart, the engine room. For generations, sailors have been pretty much completely dependent on diesel. But what if? What if you could have the power and range of diesel, the stealthy silence of electric, and the magic of actually generating your own power from the ocean, all from one single integrated system? Well, the answer is this: a parallel electric hybrid drive. What that means basically is a super reliable 80-horsepower diesel engine works together with 2 really potent electric motors. It's not an either-or deal, it's a flexible powerhouse that's designed to give you the perfect kind of energy for any scenario you can imagine. And this is where things get truly revolutionary. This system gives you 5 totally unique modes. You've got your standard diesel mode for crossing oceans. You have electric mode for ghosting in and out of pristine anchorages without making a sound. There's hybrid mode, where you kick in both systems for a serious burst of power when you need it. Then you've got regeneration, where the propellers actually put power back into the batteries while you're sailing. And maybe the most brilliant of all, genset mode, which turns the main engine into a massive 20-kilowatt DC generator when you're just sitting at anchor. Okay, so you've got this incredible propulsion system, but it's totally useless without an equally advanced way to store all that energy. So the next big challenge was figuring out how to pack enough electrical punch to run everything without weighing the boat down with tons of batteries. So the big question is, how on earth do you feed a system that's this hungry for power? The solution wasn't just to add more batteries. It was to use a fundamentally different and just way better kind of battery. And here it is. This is the answer. The very first solid-state lithium batteries made specifically for the marine world. This is a genuine, game-changing breakthrough. So what makes them so special? Well, your typical lithium-ion battery has a liquid inside, an electrolyte, which is heavy and, carries some safety risks. Solid-state batteries, just like the name says, replace that liquid with a solid material. And the result is a battery that is fundamentally safer, a lot lighter, and lasts for an incredibly long time. And check this out. This chart shows you exactly what that means in the real world. To get the 50 kilowatt hours of energy storage this boat needed, a regular lithium battery bank would weigh 572 kilograms. With solid-state tech, that number drops to just 358. That's a savings of 214 kilos. That's almost 500 pounds, which is a huge deal for a boat's performance and how efficient it is. But the craziest number might be this one: 10,000 cycles. That is the projected lifespan of these batteries, even if you regularly drain them way down to 80%. I mean, on a boat that's meant to last for decades of world travel, that kind of durability is just unheard of. It's a true set-it-and-forget-it power system. All right, so we've got an indestructible hull, a super flexible hybrid engine, and next-level battery power. The final piece of this whole puzzle is managing all this incredible technology. How do you control everything without needing a PhD in engineering? Well, you give the boat a brain.
What's really cool about this slide is the contrast. The old way of wiring a boat created what everyone calls a bird's nest. This huge, heavy mess of individual copper wires all snaking back to one breaker panel. It's an absolute nightmare to troubleshoot. The new way is a distributed digital system. Smart little modules are placed right next to the things they control, and everything is linked by a single lightweight data cable. It's cleaner, it's way lighter, and it's infinitely smarter. And this incredibly thoughtful approach is just everywhere, right down to where you actually steer the boat from. Instead of just picking a standard layout, the team really analyzed the pros and cons of every single option, from a central helm that's perfect for sailing alone to twin helms that open up the cockpit for guests. Every choice was picked apart to find the absolute perfect balance for this boat's mission. And then there's this little bit of magic. Because all the controls are electronic, you can maneuver the entire boat with a wireless remote. It literally turns this 53-foot expedition yacht into the world's biggest remote-controlled boat. This means the captain can dock the boat from anywhere on deck or even from the dock itself to get the perfect view in a tricky spot. How cool is that? So when you pull all these different pieces together, the unbreakable foundation, the hybrid heart, the revolutionary power storage, and the intelligent brain, you don't just have a list of cool features. You've got something much, much bigger than the sum of its parts. You have a whole new blueprint for what an exploration boat can be. So here's the key takeaway. None of this is just tech for tech's sake. The unbreakable hull, that solves the problem of being vulnerable in remote places. The hybrid drive, that solves the problem of being totally reliant on fossil fuels. The solid-state batteries solve the problems of weight and lifespan. And the smart brain, it solves the problem of complexity. It all comes back to answering the real-world challenges discovered over 85,000 miles at sea. This boat really is a perfect marriage of hard-earned sea wisdom and cutting-edge technology. It's a platform that can silently glide through a fragile marine sanctuary on electric power one day and then confidently charge across a harsh, high-latitude ocean the next. And all of that leaves us with one final, pretty fascinating question. Are we looking at an amazing, one-off custom yacht? Or are we looking at the very future of adventure itself?